there, Dufferin County. We are back. Hazel and myself, Kelly Maddox, with that thing called life. And we must have done something right the first season because they asked us to come back for a second season. And we're thrilled, actually, to be doing it.
Yes, we are. Absolutely.
Yes,
but
good
it's still
answer.
a scary thought.
I know.
They asked us back.
They asked us back, so
Yeah.
I think it has everything to do with me.
Of course.
You're the
The world
sidekick.
is all about Kelly. I'm the sidekick. I love that.
So we're going to jump in. Today is going to be a really fun show because we're talking about dating in the year 2016. And as you all know, if you followed the show, Hazel is our resident school marm, single lady. When was the last?
Spinster.
Spinster. That's what I
Old
was going for.
maids. Is there anything
Old maids.
else?
Well,
Don't go there.
it's community show, so
Yeah,
I
you
won't
can't
get
say
there as
that.
a baby. But yeah, so we thought it would be fun to talk to Hazel and other people in the community that are not only a part of the single community, but also we want to talk about how dating has sort of evolved from, back in the day when you met each other through your families, and there was lots of traditions and customs around dating where there had to be chaperones and that sort to today, which is even though I've been out of the single game for 4 years.
And you call me an old maid.
Yes, 4 years. Even since when I met my husband and kind of went off the market, so to speak, even from then to now, there's a massive change in dating. And that's just in the course of 4 years. So talk to me. Let's start off. I want to ask you the question because you are single, and I tease you about it a ton because it's really fun to do. But you kind of have chosen
Yes, I have.
to be single. And can you share with us sort of how that choice came about?
Wow. That's a really good question. You know what? I've never actually really thought about it consciously in terms of why. Well, that's not true. There's some things. The last couple of experiences haven't really left a good feeling, or I was going to say taste in my mouth, but I don't know if that's really what it was.
Right.
Only because I don't like the drama. I don't like the games. And even at my age, there were games. And I don't like, I'm being really selfish right now.
Yeah.
Because I don't like sharing my space.
Yeah.
I don't like sharing. And I needed to focus on my kids, and I needed to focus on my family. And
Well, you have a lot going on at home. It's a whole show unto itself, right? Your mother lives with you, and she's 90.
going to be 90 next year.
Right, 90, and she's actually a very healthy 90, in my opinion.
God love her. Yes.
Right.
If I have her genes, I will be haunting you.
Absolute great.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Get
Anyway,
ready for that.
That's a whole other show.
But you're right. The whole generation, the whole sandwich generation, I think we're called, because I still have kids at home, and my mom, and the dog, and still working, and so
And me.
That's the biggest piece of all.
It takes a lot of work to be a friend with me.
There's a selfishness, and especially as I'm, shall we say, an introvert,
Yes.
I go home to re-energize,
Yeah.
as opposed to somebody who's more of an extrovert who gets their energy from outside themselves, and gets their energy from other people and interacting with other people. I need to recharge my batteries. So to share that space with another person where I'm, like, I walk in the house right now and I don't have to talk to anybody. And maybe it's assumptions that I've made up in my head about if I have a partner, a life partner, I'd have to come in and be nice to them, and I don't know if I can do that.
Well, thank God this isn't a dating show, because that just puts you to the top
Put
of
me
every
right out
single
there,
guy's
right?
list.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
I
I
look
want
forward
to get to know her.
But so and I do know that about you, that you're like a little like me, where we're extroverted in our day jobs because we have to be.
Right.
But the truth is, we're really, like, it takes a lot out of us, and when we need to regroup, we really just need downtime. But I do wonder if, yes, you are making a very large assumption that, let me finish because I know what you're going to try and do. That's the beauty of being best friends for 17 years. There's a very large assumption that I believe you're making that you are going to have to give 60% of yourself to somebody, or even more than that, because it'll be a relationship and it'll be deep and it'll be, emotions and feelings, whereas maybe it's just a companion.
Do you know what's frightening, I think, for me, is that with the 2 marriages that I had, yes, I've been married twice, I changed. And I haven't got the knack of, and maybe I don't have the courage to say, I'm not changing this time. And so you take me as I am. And so that person would have to break down a whole bunch of walls and would have to be a knight in shining armor and, take 50% of the responsibility for the relationship.
Right.
The previous relationships I've had haven't done that.
No, you've changed yourself to adapt to. Yeah, and I truly believe, because it took me such a long time to find, my soulmate, which is cheesy, I know, but it's the truth. When Matt and I met and came together, that's what happened. We just met each other where we were at, and we went through some ups and downs because that's life. That's what happens with life. But I was just saying to him the other day, because we were actually in here painting the new sets and stuff, and as we were driving over to pick something else up for the set on a Saturday, I said, gosh, what a difference our lives are. Like, if we look back 5 years to what our everyday looked like, and our everyday, we didn't know each other back then, right? We were both in different spaces and different relationships. And then we fast forward to a day like today where, we've gotten up, we've went and had breakfast at Mocha Berry, and then we've come over here and we're, getting ready for the new season, and we're putting together kind of a new set so it has a fresh look. And then we're hopping in the car and we're doing, this, and this. And then we're going to see really good friends, one of which is going to be on this show, for a birthday dinner. And we just love being together. Like, we're best friends, and we're supportive. He supports me in everything I do, and vice versa. And I haven't had that. And I think it's because Matt's not hard work for me. He's very easy to love. He's very easy to like, and he's very easy to love. And
he
I'm
also
hoping
doesn't want to change you, Kelly, and I think and you don't want to change him, and I think that's a key to a lot of relationships.
Right.
So when, in my era, which I know is before your time because I'm a little bit older than you, we were brought up to believe in, like, marriage was for life, and it was an institution, and the women did the majority of the work in the home, right? Looked after the babies. And then I got married to a very traditional European, like, woman in the kitchen and barefoot and pregnant.
So it fit that mold of...
But then I changed to fit that.
Right.
That expectation, as opposed to standing up for myself. Mm-hmm. And it took me 12 years, right? And 2 kids. What is frightening to see is what my children go through, who are in their late 20s, early 30s, and the relationships that they've had, and that expectation for women in marriage is quite, it really hasn't changed.
Really?
It is frightening. Well, the experiences that my boys have had is frightening to see that they want to rush to being married. They don't want to get to know each other. They don't want to wait. And, this may be a little biased, but thank God my kids have a little bit of common sense. They want to have a little stability under themselves financially, and they weren't hammered into, you got to marry me, and you got to marry me now, and let's go buy a house, and I'm going to buy a dog, which we ended up with because they broke up. Right. But that was their baby, right? So it was interesting to watch.
Yeah, that surprises me, actually, and in the next few segments we'll come back to that. But it was funny, while we were preparing for the show, I thought it would be funny to share our, like, major dating disasters.
Do I have to?
I know, like, we don't have long enough for me to share all mine, but I'll share mine, and then I know which one you're going to share, and they're pretty good. But I was giggling the other night because I was laying in bed thinking about this, and I was back when I was 20, late teens, early 20s, I was working at a local hardware store as a cashier. And this young guy used to come in all the time. He worked for a plumbing company, and he was always in his uniform. And I thought he was really cute. And he'd always come through
plumber.
He'd always come through my
uniform.
cash and, hi, silliness. And I was brought up, you never ask a boy out. You never call the boy, and you never ask a boy out. So I eventually, like 8 months after this exchange every day, he asked me out, and I said yes. And I was so excited. He showed up at my door. And he had on like the tightest Michael Jackson tearaway pants I've ever seen in my life, like the black zippers, black turtleneck, skin tight with a red cross, or a gold cross, and a red shirt. And it because I'd seen him only in the uniform, it shocked me so much. And so anyway, people might say that's, vain of me, but anyway, it was what it was. And he ended up, he took me out. He took me downtown to the harbor front. And we walked along the harbor front for like 15 minutes. And then he's like, okay, I guess we'll go home now. He was a smoker, which was a deal breaker for me back then, and still would have been if I was dating now. And he was just really strange guy. And when we came back home, he like got out of the house and walked me to the house. And that time I had a roommate. My roommate was there with her boyfriend. And she could see by my face, like, oh my God. So he ends up coming in, like he's not, like I'm being tight-lipped and everything. He ends up coming in, he uses the bathroom, and my girlfriend says, Kelly, pretend to fall asleep. Like, just do it right now. So he comes out of the bathroom, and I'm literally like.
Snoring? Were you snoring?
And Nadine's like, I don't know what happened. Sometimes this happens to her. She just falls asleep out of nowhere. And he's like, oh, okay, should I wait? She's like, no, don't wait, just go. And then the rest of my tenure at Canadian Tire as a cashier was so utterly uncomfortable.
Every time you saw him?
Because, he thought the date went really, really well.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I fell asleep on you.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't all that pleasant. But and then the other one I was thinking of as we about to wrap up and go to break was an online dating experience I had where I went in and I was meeting this gentleman at a local pub, and he walked in and he looked at me and he looked around and then he looked at me again and he's like, Kelly? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, wow, you look a whole lot different in person. And I'm like,
Thanks for that.
You just look a little brighter online. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is not going to end well for anybody. So anyway. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to throw to break, and then when we come back, we're going to have Michael Robertson, and he is going to talk about the evolution of dating with us. All right? Stay tuned. Come on back. All right, welcome back. We are here with the fabulous Michael Robertson. You may, he may remind you of, or you may have recognized him. You may recognize him from such shows as Relationships 101 and Speaking with Generations, which was last season's show. And we brought him back because A, we think he's absolutely lovely, and B, because we thought it would be interesting for Michael to share his stories when we're talking about the evolution of dating. So, Hazel, I know you're going to take Michael through some kind of questions and get his opinion. But before you do, everybody's asking me that they want to hear about what your horrible dating story is. Apparently mine fell short, so it's all on you.
So I don't know if anybody can relate to this, but you go away on vacation and you meet a person.
I can't.
You ever experienced that?
No.
No? So I met this gentleman, and we had a lovely time. I was there for a week, and probably about 4 months later, I get a phone call. I'm sitting in my family room, and the phone rings, and I answered it, and he said, "Hey, baby." "Oh, hi. How are you?" "I'm good." He said, "Can you come and pick me up?" I said, Where are you? Oh, I'm at the airport. What airport? Toronto.
Because this was Bahamas, right?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
You've got to be kidding me. You're standing at the airport. Yeah, and I've got my friends here. But what?
We're all looking for green cards.
And what are your plans? Because you're not coming here. So I did pick him up at the airport, and I drove him to a hotel. I helped him get a rental car, and then I said, "Okay, goodbye." And he said, "No." He says, "We can have we can go out to dinner." I said, "Okay." So I took him to. Does anybody know the Rainforest Cafe?
Yes.
In Yorkdale.
Right.
Right, where they have animated animals,
like rainforest animals that move and make sounds and
right. So we went. We were sitting at the dinner, and right beside us is a gorilla and a chimpanzee. And so as I'm giving this speech about who the heck do you think I am, and blah 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 blah.
Well, because he asked for money.
Well, he did ask for money. Of course, he asked for money. As soon as I got the phone call from the airport, it's just like,
yeah. Overstep boundaries.
I can't swear. It's just seriously. So as I'm having this conversation about, you're barking up the wrong tree here. These wonderful little gorillas and chimpanzees started to go. I lost it. And he looked at me and went, "What is wrong with you?"
I'm not finding this funny at all.
I think it's time for me to take you back to the hotel.
Never to be seen again.
Never to be seen again.
Good riddance.
Never to be seen. Even when I went back to the place we were at in the Bahamas, I never saw him again. Never
Thank
came
God.
around. I think he got the message. So
little presumptuous, I would say.
Just a little, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which would never happen.
No.
Back when you were dating when you were a ladies' man about town.
Absolutely.
So
well,
talk to us.
I just sort of thought I'd mention at the beginning that I shall be 80 next February, and am I past my best by date?
No way. No way. You know, fine wine, cheese, it all gets better with age.
It does, absolutely.
That's right.
So you think I do too?
Absolutely.
Oh.
That I know.
So your dating experience wasn't in Canada?
No, it was all back in the old country, and I was sent away to school. I better preface things a little bit, because at the age of 8, I was sent away, and I was away for 36 weeks out of 52. So when the little hormones started traveling around my body at a faster rate, what really happened was that I only had 4 weeks, and 8 weeks to crowd all my experiences in any given year.
Get you into an all-boys school.
Of course.
Well, exactly.
Right.
So, and I wasn't interested in that lot. So I was more interested in the little girl who was the daughter of the brandy snap maker down the road.
We've
I
heard
remember
that story.
one. Yeah.
Exactly.
She was drop dead gorgeous. That's not a swear word, by the way.
No, it's not.
No. And so anyway, that was sort of, it kind of tempered my courting experiences, but I can remember every single name of every single girlfriend I had before Barbara.
Right.
Wow.
Because they meant something? Is
Oh,
that the
yeah,
reason?
in a sort of different way. A lot of it was kind of hormonal, if you get my drift.
Yeah.
You know, things were flying at that time, and you know, when you only have 4 weeks, and 8 weeks, you kind of tend to cram things in a little bit.
Right.
But it was actually, seriously, it was very dignified. Courting in the days in the 50s when I was courting was really quite different to probably what it is now. It all basically culminated in meeting Barbara. And I came back from playing tennis one night, or squash, sorry, with a friend of ours, mutual friend, and I was just in the sort of going into the house, and suddenly these two people appeared, Anthony and Barbara. And I just fell head over heels for her, right in, we called it a scullery in those days. It was, you know what a scullery is.
I know a scullery.
And anyway, that was it. And I thought, oh, yeah, I've got to pursue this. So I phoned her up one Sunday morning, and it was about 10:30 in the morning, and this gruff voice comes down the other end of the phone saying, "You want to talk to Barbara? Don't you know she's in bed? She's still in bed." This was 10:30 on a Sunday morning. I thought I was doing the honourable thing phoning then. Anyway, long and the short of it was we bumped into one another at a party in December of 1959. And I was with somebody else and she was with somebody else, and we kind of got dancing together and we dumped our dates. And that was sort of the beginning of the friendship. On January the 6th, 1960, we were chaperoned. My sister came along, plus her man and Barbara and myself, and we went to see Yul Brynner in the Ten Commandments at the Gaumont Cinema in Leeds.
Oh, wow.
Love it.
On February the 26th, we were engaged.
Yeah.
October the 15th, we were married.
Oh, lovely.
That was a kind of a very speedy courtship that we kind of went through. Probably not atypical, and probably not the most sensible thing. We've sort of reflected on it since and thought, you know, like we've heard, it's kind of nicer to spend a little more time getting to know one another. But we've been married 56 years, so something must have worked.
Absolutely. You know, it's interesting because Matt and I really, very kind of same story. We met, we were both with other people. It's, you know, 2 days later we met again under the guise of we were going to talk, you know, library business because he was the chairman of the board at that time. And we were, you know, 6 months later we were engaged, and then another year after that, 6 months, we were married. So I don't know that timing means the same thing as it did. Yeah, I think sometimes people wait too long, and then I think sometimes people rush in. I think it's so dependent on the people, the life experiences they bring to the table, the compatibility factor, and you know, whether love at first sight does exist. That's the thing, right? You know, we were quite smitten with each other right from the get-go, and it's turned out to be the loveliest thing that's ever happened.
I think I was a bit more smitten with Barb than she was with me.
I
I'm
think
not
you're
100%
right.
sure about that.
So she made you pursue her.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what the lovely thing was? So somewhere around the beginning of February of 1960, you have to do it properly. You go to the father and you ask for his daughter's hand in marriage, and to which he responds, and will you be able to keep her in the state to which she's accustomed? This all went on with the rest of the family through the hatch in the kitchen, listening, and all I could hear was laughing at the coming from the kitchen.
That's right.
But he accepted, that's it. And David Howe, he's one of the best things that ever lived.
Aw, isn't that wonderful?
Yeah, that's her dad.
Yeah.
He's still one of my
favorite guys.
Personal favorite guys ever.
Yeah. You know, it's funny though that it wasn't much different when so my dad passed when I was 24, and before that I had moved to the U.S. So we missed a lot of my dating years. But when I started dating, which I had to wait until I was 17, the boy had to come to the house. He had to come in. He had to meet my mom and my dad. There was a curfew, and we're talking like, you know, this is 1993, 94. But he was very adamant about, you know, I think there was a show, Rules for Dating My Daughter kind of thing. And he was and he had to know how to get a hold of where we would be. And he put that onus, if the boy was going to ask me out, because that's the way it happened in our house, then he had to bring all the information that Dad, like, it was embarrassing because back then that was very an antiquated sort of approach in the early 90s. You know, all my girlfriends had been dating and had boyfriends since they were 15. Here I am, 17. You know, my dad still wants to meet them and grill them and know a little bit about their family. But you know, it was really nice. I never ran, as long as he was sort of keeping an eye, and never ran into any issues.
Was Valentine's Day important to you? It's just something that came to me the other day. And I also remember Valentine's Day because one of my loves kind of departed from me. But we sent Valentine's, and we always put initials on the bottom of the cards or at the back. Do these initials mean anything to you? SWALK and Holland.
SWALK.
Sealed with a
loving kiss.
Yes.
And Holland.
No, don't know
Hope
Holland.
our love lasts and never dies.
Oh,
see,
And
that is lost.
Yes, it's completely lost. But the other one was when I got dumped, and that's the only time I got seriously dumped, was this card comes through, and her name was Anne, and I was really in love with Anne. Anyway, another story, and in the card it just said, Anna stays here, Anastasia. And that was the end of the relationship. Bang, Anastasia. She wasn't going to be part of my life anymore. So I never did find out who sent that card.
Wow.
Oh.
Really
Anastasia, it sounds
Yes,
like
yeah,
Anna's
it
going to
is.
stay with you.
Well, no, Anna stays here.
Oh, Anna,
Stays
oh,
here.
okay, I
She's
got
not
it.
coming not coming my way. She's
Oh.
staying here.
That
yeah.
sounds like it was a rival or a parent or
Anyway,
something.
over to you. You've got.
No, I don't have any of those wonderful stories. I think that personally, that's just me. I think that's what's missing in the world. With that whole, I watch Kelly and Matt, and I see that in their relationship. You know, the Post-it notes that are going down the stairs to the. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's missing in a lot of cases. When you met, though. It was through people, or was it at church, or?
It was basically she was with another guy who was one of my best friends and squash partner, and that was.
But that was so that I know where you're going with that as
So
we're getting ready to
friends.
go to break. It's
Okay.
it's the
How do you meet?
it's that face to face connection, or even the physical chemistry connection that sometimes, or I think, and I'm not sure. We're going to talk to Jason Miles, king of being single in Orangeville, about this.
I thought it was the most eligible.
well, we'll use the
figure that
most
out.
eligible
Okay.
bachelor. That's right.
I still think the one thing is that the love continues. It's something that should never stop. You court.
Yes.
We called it courting in
Yes.
the old
Yes.
days.
Yeah, and I think
Courting,
you
you do.
miss out on that when it's done in this digital age.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, it's really interesting, and I think you'll find I'm suspect of the fact that I think Jason will share with us, because he's active dating, that the preference would probably to meet somebody face to face, and it be a tangible meeting. So we are going to actually have him. We're going to wrap up, and we're going to have
Being beautiful, being dated by you two beautiful ladies. What can I say?
See what I mean? There you go.
So I don't know how to top that. So we will be back. You
Thank
are
you.
the best.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. We're having
Too
already
much.
too much fun on the set. So I think you're probably going to enjoy this next segment. We're joined by the fabulous Rena Ferguson, who does the most beautiful job on my hair and makeup all the time, and Jason Miles, who is
Here we go.
you know, who is single in here in Dufferin County. So we wanted to have him on, but he's also he's a photographer, and he's kind of we're going to have him speak about a new project that he's sort of working on, where the creation of online dating profiles have sort of evolved just past finding your cute Facebook picture. So we'll get into that in a little bit, but thanks for joining us, the two of you.
Thanks for having us.
Now, as I mentioned, Jason is single. So is Hazel, by the way. And Rena is newly married. She had a gorgeous wedding back in July. But we wanted her to give some of her opinions on the work that got you and Rodney to where you are today.
Right.
And what relationships mean, like that their work and stuff. So why don't you talk a little bit about sort of your journey together with Rodney?
Well, me and Rodney have been pretty much dated off and on for the last 7 years. So with breakups in between there, trying to figure our stuff out. And I found each time we broke up, the next time he came back, there'd be like a slight honeymoon period, and then reality would come into play. You know, we're both difficult souls trying to make it work because there's strong feelings involved, but trying to accept each other's faults and bonuses and really good qualities about each other. But at times, like, there's a reality to say that two people are trying to make something work. Like, that's the basis of basically dating, is trying to bring your two lives together and have them work really well, or they can work really poorly.
Right.
So I think over the 7 years, we didn't change to be with each other. We just kind of changed as people. And I think the last part of our relationship was we actually came back together and just said, we love each other for exactly how we are right now. as in right now, as in our independent selves that have grown in our backbones and our abilities to say how we feel and our abilities to love each other with faults and not make them feel bad for them or not being the way that you should be or what we think we should be. And so it became super easy.
Right.
So then we just fell more in love and we decided to get married.
Right.
How'd
So
you meet
here
him?
we are. It's really probably not great
Okay.
way to say.
Jason,
Over to you.
there's only so much room in this jar.
No,
and-
it's not even
yeah.
What did I do? I didn't do anything.
Nothing. I just laughed because he went out for a friend's birthday party, and I thought he was really attractive, but I only knew they were communal friends through Facebook.
Right.
So I added him to Facebook,
Right.
and then
That was a little stalkerazzi.
no, I don't think so. I just found him attractive.
I think so.
I went to high school with him, so I kind of knew who he was.
Right.
But he had gone to a birthday that I was supposed to go to and never ended up going. So then I just added him, and he always writes. If anybody adds him to Facebook, he'll always write, "Hey, how are you today?" So then it kind of started. Yeah, he did it. Like I added him, he accepted, and then the rest is history. So
Oh, that's hilarious.
yeah, totally funny. But I was like, I thought he was attractive.
But a
and
great example of
Social media.
Social
Yeah.
media.
In the play.
Yeah, and
7 years
so
ago. Yeah.
yeah. And Jason, you've been single on the single scene.
Yep.
For how long? Because I know that you've been on and then off
Yeah,
and then
couple,
on.
so I say 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Was when my last long-term relationship was ended.
Right.
And so yeah, dating for 2.5 years.
And what's it? Because I think even when you and I are and my husband are friends off the show, and same with Rena and Hazel, but I find it seems to be much different. Even just from 5 years ago
Yes.
than what it is today.
Very much so.
And maybe not for the better.
No, it's the best way I can describe it is non-committal.
Right.
I told you when we talked about it before, there's this thing about fear of a better offer. So you may be communicating, two people may be communicating, say on a dating site, and they're trying to find time to get together, and one of them is holding out for a better offer. So they're being non-committal. Hey, would you like to go out on Friday? Well, I'll have to let you know on Thursday.
Right.
So hopefully on Thursdays that better offer will come along, and I can just take the better offer. So that seems to me where it's at, and some of the women friends that I have expressed the same thing. It's both sides. It's not just the women doing it to the guys. It's the guys doing it to the ladies as well.
Yeah, and I would, I always thought, because when I got single after my first marriage, and went back into the dating pool, I did try online dating for a little bit, and that was back in the day when it was like Lava Life and Plenty of Fish was like your
Yes.
options, right?
Those were the two. Yeah.
They're still there.
Right. Yeah.
There's-
Well, no.
Lava Life not so much.
No?
Plenty of Fish.
Plenty of Fish.
Is
Yeah.
probably one of the biggest ones.
Wow.
And you know what I found? I found that one of two things. I found it made like the competition pool
Got bigger.
got massive.
Yeah.
Right? And I could never tell whether some of the people that I would consider women my same age and my demographic, looking for the same things, if their profile was really real, because I was like, well, mine's really did. So I told you when the guy showed up and he's like, wow, you look different in person.
Yeah. I would have got up and walked out.
Right.
Yeah.
You're hideous.
Sorry to let you
I
down,
know.
and see you later.
Listen, story of my life. So,
Always like they think the grass is always greener too.
Right.
well, and I think we're too
why is that,
accessible
though?
to each other. Like,
Yes, and technology plays a huge role in that part.
right.
You can Facebook somebody before a date. You can Google them. You can
add people as a friend and they don't even know you.
and they will
Well, we went
accept
to
you.
high school together.
Okay.
Come
Well,
on.
yeah, no, but exclusive of your situation, that happens all the time.
All the time.
I get friend requests all the time from people that I don't know,
And from all over the world, too, right?
So I don't
Right.
because
I don't
If I
either.
don't really know you, I won't accept you.
right, and that's my policy too. And I meet a lot of people through the course of all of the activities that I do around town. So for me, it'll be, hey, you sent me a friend request. I'm really sorry. Have we met?
Right.
And if the answer is no, then no, sorry, we're not going to be friends on Facebook. Because
Right.
to me, Facebook isn't a gauge of life. It's
No.
it's a social media tool that I use for various things, staying in touch with family and and that kind of thing, promoting my photography business
So what
for
you're saying,
two.
you won't accept my friend request?
Now that we've met in
Well, you're not
person,
single,
absolutely I
so
will, yeah.
I'm wasting time.
Dang it.
So, because I know you're active right now in the world of dating,
Yes.
and you're not, or else I would ask you your opinion on this. But what are some of the, the websites that are good ones, and how do you guys stay safe?
Right.
I do a lot of screening.
Right.
I Google, I Facebook. You'd be surprised how easy it is to take a picture from a dating site and put it through Google
Yeah.
and find out who the person is.
And whether it's really
that,
done.
Right, and so
Okay.
that's step one. And
That's not creepy?
no, but here's the thing.
Well, I'm just
so
kidding.
the example that I have, and I can show you on my phone
Right.
just before I came to the show, I found a profile on POF that I wasn't sure whether, I suspected it was a fake photo. So I did a Google search, and sure enough, it's a fake photo.
Right.
So now I suspect the whole profile is fake.
Right.
So I'm not going to waste my time there, right? But
Would you then suggest paying for it?
so
and having
paying,
more security for
yeah,
it?
paying definitely, especially with sites like Plenty of Fish, with Match.com, paying for the site gives you the flexibility of only allowing contact from other members who are also paid. So it raises the bar
Right.
quite a bit,
Right.
right? So
Yeah.
people aren't going to pay money necessarily to put a fake profile up.
Right, and they're
Because
going to
it's
be more
not cheap.
serious about
right,
it.
they're going to be
right?
much more serious, yeah.
Yeah, and I wonder too, like what I was finding, what really turned me off of the online dating thing, because back when I was online dating, it was kind of like, oh, epic fail. Kelly has to go online and find somebody, right? It had that
That
connotation
stigma
to
is
it,
definitely there, yeah.
right?
I-
And that's
yeah.
not what turned me off of being. I stopped being on it because it really, I'm trying to figure out how to say this so my producer doesn't have pass out in the tech room, but it was really sort of wham bam thank you like I was looking for a relationship because I'm a relationship girl.
Yep.
I love having a boyfriend, and
Sure.
and that was not what Plenty of Fish and Lava Life were about.
Right.
And it was aggressive, and it was a little scary for me.
It is very scary on the women's side
Yeah.
because you have men, for whatever reason, think in their infinite wisdom, hey, wouldn't it be a great idea if I sent a picture of my junk as a
Right.
first message? I said junk, so I think we're good here. But this happens all the time.
Yeah.
So guys, stop doing this, number one,
That's not exactly courting.
right?
But it's all
You're kind of skipping a whole bunch of steps.
that's been
Important
abusive.
thing to me. So clearly.
You're missing a whole bunch of steps, but
Wow.
also, what are you saying about the woman you're trying
To attract.
to attract to you?
Right.
That oh my, he sent me this picture, so
Lovely.
And again, how do you
Right?
know it's
Yeah.
actually real?
well, you
Oh,
have
God,
to do
that's
you have
a
to do
whole
the
other-
you have to do the you
Okay.
have to
How
do
do
the
you
research.
how do you Google that?
Google that picture.
You have to do the research.
Camera
I
over to
suppose.
me. Over to me. I gotta keep
no,
control of
it's-
this conversation.
So that thing does happen a lot, and it turns a lot of people off, and it also creates a really unnecessary stigma about online dating.
Right.
Yes.
I use online dating because I'm very busy. I have a very busy, on top of my 2-hour commute, I have a 9-hour workday. So I'm 11 hours out of the house. The last thing I want to do is come home. I'm not a bar guy. So the last thing I want to do is come home, shower, change, and go to a bar.
Right.
I'm exhausted from my day. So online dating is a good tool for me to try and, it's a kind of a catch-all. I don't necessarily have time, but
But now it's on your phone. Like you
Right.
can carry it around with you everywhere.
Absolutely.
You go.
Absolutely.
I have quite a few friends that have been very successful in online dating, and
Yes.
one of them, a friend's son, met his wife, and I believe it was on Plenty of Fish, and lovely
Yeah.
girl, and now they have 2 kids and have their own house and stuff. And then I have a friend actually who's a little bit older than me, Kelly. She started, it wasn't online dating at that time.
Father
there was
Christmas.
it was personal ads
yeah, in the papers.
in the paper,
Yeah.
I
right?
didn't even know they did that anymore.
Well,
Not
they don't
anymore,
because
but
online
this
dating
is-
has
Okay.
Yeah.
taken over that. But the point is the meeting people using some kind of technology, whether it's
Right.
the newspaper and then a telephone or pen and paper if you're going to write them a letter. This not meeting people in person has been around for a long time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the online dating just kind of was the next evolutionary step in terms of using technology to do that. But to your point, I love having this ability on my phone. Because I can, you know, if I'm in a car with somebody, right?
Yeah.
I can just have a quick look.
Super easy.
They really do. So, and there are people in my forum when I've talked about this stuff in the past who say, "Oh yeah, I met my husband on Plenty of Fish. It was the greatest experience I've ever had."
Yeah.
So if the people are willing to put the time and the effort into creating a good profile that's solid, has a lot of content in it. Like, I really hate the ones where you go online and they go, "Oh, if you want to know anything, just ask
You
me."
like pina coladas.
Well, no.
So you
How
can-
about no?
I think the great thing about online, a little bit of a great thing about online dating is that you can filter through.
You can.
Really.
But you
can.
have to have the
Clearly.
criteria, right?
Right.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to stop us because it's a perfect segue into what we wanted to talk about in our last segment. So as we go to commercial, I think we want to start talking about, you know, if you're dating and it's not going to be face-to-face, it's going to be online, what kind of things you can do.
Put the effort into it.
Yeah.
So we will be back. Oh, thank goodness you're back, Dufferin County, because I am getting ganged up on by these two crazy. So, great segue from the last segment, because I want to talk to you, Jason, specifically about you are a photographer.
Yeah.
And recently, I would say last 6 months, you've been taking profile pictures for...
It's been a couple of years actually.
Oh, it has.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so I'm the newbie in town, kind of, right? So,
Yeah.
talk to me about that, the importance of that, and then also the importance of what you put in that online profile.
Well, the picture is the first thing that somebody's going to see of you.
Right.
So there's some psychology in it where women, when they're looking for men to date, they don't want to see the selfies. They don't want to see the holding of the phone, taking the picture, this kind of thing. They actually want to see a picture where you're not holding the camera.
Right.
So
no bathroom photos.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
and if you're going to do that, put the toilet seat down.
Right.
Ladies as well, just saying. So I started a service a couple of years ago, just on a whim. I just did a blog post with a photo, and I said, "Hey, you know, if you're dating, you should consider hiring me to do a dating profile headshot with you, because you know you're what you put out there of yourself online is critically important, and we can show a bunch of sides with and good quality photos."
And is that because the person looks at the photo and then decides whether they're going to read?
Yes, absolutely, 100%. They
that
look at the
first
photo,
impression, right?
they make a 2-second decision whether they're going to read the profile or just skip on to the next one.
Swipe left.
Right,
Swipe left.
Whoa, you're married. You're not supposed to know about Tinder. The importance of the picture popping. So as I'm scrolling, selfie, professional photo, boom,
Right.
I'm going to stop.
Because somebody's
Wow.
invested.
They've put money in. They've put time in.
They look good.
And they look damn good.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I like what you were saying as we were preparing last week, and Matt and I had met you, and you were saying about when you're taking those headshots, you're downtown Toronto
Yep.
in a cool space in their environment,
Yes.
and you're catching them at natural moments. So you spend time with them in just real time scenarios
Yep.
and catch it all versus the whole.
Yeah, so
Right.
the number one question I get is, "Where's your studio?" And I go, "Well, I don't have one because, studio shots to me are boring. I don't want to look in a dating profile and see a gray backdrop studio shot. So I want something that's much more dynamic. So I go to them. Typically, we spend 2 or 3 hours, and in the case of the last one that you saw, his workplace has a very nice party room, meeting room. It's all window. And when we walked in there and I saw the lighting and the way it was reflecting on him and everything else, I went, "Yeah, we're not leaving this space
Yeah.
because I can churn out some incredible product for you just standing here." So there's no studio. It's dynamic. It's not stiff posed, you know, whatever the
Yeah, like
we
Hazel
don't do
could
any of
be
that.
posing with her beagle
Yep.
if she wanted to, if that was
Absolutely.
important to her.
Yeah,
or,
and it is important. It is important
trying.
to do exactly that. So if you play sports, then we're going to try and catch a couple of pictures of you in your element doing sports. I've had a couple of clients that do yoga, so I take pictures of them doing yoga.
Well, there's a sales. There's this.
But it's showing that, number one, they go outside.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? And
Yeah.
number two, the pictures that I can get of people with the technology and with the process that I use, I mean, I don't pose them. I don't do any of that.
Right.
We just sit and have a conversation, and I'm looking through my camera at them all the whole time. And
Those are the best
when I
pictures, though,
generate,
natural.
I'll say something to them. I'll generate a reaction from them, and
that's
bang,
when
I'll
you
just
get 'em.
I'll just hit the
Yeah.
shutter at the moment that I need to, and we'll just keep doing that over and over again. And I found that I found ways to make people react the way I want them to react that make them look really good in photos.
Yeah, I will say, you know, maybe even you could spend some time with this lovely lady, but I have seen the
gotta
photos
get on there at
in
some
your
point.
portfolio, and they're really nice photos.
Thank you.
Because you kind of already get a sense for the person as soon as you look at them.
Yes.
Right? And so
Yes.
I do think it's important. It's funny because when I was doing that little baby online stint, I actually put a picture of myself that I thought wasn't the greatest picture, and I still got.
For women, it
Oh.
doesn't. I hate to make this as sound sexist, but for women, it doesn't matter.
Right.
We as men, especially me as a photographer, I actually prefer seeing. Maybe I'm going to kill my own business right here, but I prefer seeing selfies
Right.
with women. But women hate seeing selfies for guys.
But all
Interesting.
women's selfies, no offense, are filtered.
Some of them are, but you have to filter past that. See what I did there? You have to.
Oh, what a pun.
You have to just ignore that, right? And you have to recognize, and that's where a little bit of research goes a long way. But
Right.
yeah, so
But on average, no one really. I mean, you're the first one I've ever heard that goes through a Google search after they find a photo. So, like, I'm not going to say.
No,
Like, it's hard to say that
you know
people
what?
are
It's
going to
not
do that,
true.
though.
You have.
It's not true. As we were doing research for this show,
Right.
they said that's a hot trend right now.
It is.
Well, I guess now
Now.
evolving, because
Now.
2 years ago.
Well, that's just
Right?
it. That's the
So-
point about online dating and dating
it's
through
not
the
trust.
technology.
Like, no one's
No,
trusting
but
anybody
there's been a
anymore.
lot of stories in the media
Right.
about people getting
Brutal ones.
like
Well,
taken
Sonia
for
Vershin
money.
for one.
Right.
Sonia Vershin for
Right.
one is a local story that stemmed around online dating.
Right.
Right.
The suspicion is on that case is that in all likelihood, whoever did the murder she probably had some interaction on the dating
Right.
profile.
Right.
Right.
And that in itself is reason enough to do the homework.
Right.
Yeah,
Right,
that
right,
brings
very
up
true.
a lot of
I hear you.
safety concerns for
Right.
online dating, which I think is really, really important. Like, I don't, because it's coming from the male perspective. I think that females really need to take care of themselves. I don't think that they should be. I think they should be meeting in a public place. I think
100%.
everybody should know. Like, if Hazel was going out on a date, I would want to know the name of the guy, where he worked, where he
Yep.
lived, where you were meeting, what times you were meeting, because it's really a scary world out
Yeah.
there, and
Or
you just never know.
a lot of times there's text check-ins. So if one of my
Yes.
friends go out on a
Right.
blind date,
The
or
call.
And I
or
encourage that.
not,
Yeah.
or
I
I'm just
encourage
like,
that.
hey, is everything going really well?
Yeah.
And then if I don't hear something, I'll just call her, or I'll get back, yeah, everything's really great, thanks so much. And if I don't hear anything at all, then we're going on a hunt.
Yeah.
I
So-
encourage that. I
Yeah,
absolutely
I
encourage that.
agree.
If I'm going on a date with somebody, I would not be offended if they whipped out their phone and said, you know what, I just need to check in.
Yeah,
Safety
my
check,
girlfriend's checking in.
whatever the
just-
case may be.
Yeah,
Just send a quick note and then put the phone away.
you know what I would actually, as a male or a female, I would find that really astute. Like, I would be like, yeah, I get that, and you know what? That means there's people in this person's world that really care about them.
Right.
But it also means that the person cares about themselves enough
Right.
To have a check.
to have
Yeah.
a safety check.
Yes.
right? You have to do it.
Yes, absolutely.
I cannot tell you how many times, and it's a little scary as a man, where you're chatting with somebody for less than 5 minutes and their phone number pops up in the message, and you
For
go,
you to
"Oh."
phone them?
Well,
Really?
to let's move this off of the site, because on a lot of the sites, granted the messaging is horrible, it really is bad,
Mm-hmm.
but don't be so quick to offer up your phone number.
Okay.
Because you lose your anonymity the second you do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the first thing I'm doing is, and again, it's for my own safety as well. I don't know who's on the other end of that. It could be a man fishing,
Yep.
Right?
right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or
so
a
I'm gonna,
woman fishing.
Totally.
Well,
so
yeah.
I'm going to take that number. A lot of people don't know. You can actually run a phone number into the search engine in Facebook, and if the person has registered their phone number, it will pop up their profile.
But Google as well, right? You
Not so much Google if it's a
No.
cell number, because
Yeah.
it won't.
numbers.
It'll
are
bring
not
up
there.
number find, and then you have
Yeah.
to pay a certain amount of money
Yeah.
to find
Oh,
that
yeah.
number.
Okay.
To do
But
it next
if
to.
they've registered their number in Facebook, so for me, mine is registered. Mine's all over Google because of my photography business. I
Because of
want people
business.
to find me,
Right.
but I only have one number. It's my cell.
Right.
So this is
Right.
the number you get me on, and away we go. But I can take that number into Facebook or Twitter or any other social media engine. I can also run it through Google, because if they've ever listed anything on a buy and sell or anything where they've given up their number, it kind of opens up a door for me, and it's not a creeping door. It's a self-protection door.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I literally don't know who's on the other end. I don't know what their motive is.
Yep.
They could say on their dating profile, oh, I don't have any kids, blah 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 blah. I look in Facebook, and they've got 17 kids.
Or they're
Right.
not married when they're really married.
And that has also happened.
Well, I will
They're-
tell you, that
yeah.
was the thing. That was, Hazel and I were talking about this today. That was the biggest thing I faced when I met Matt, is that as I moved into dating later in life, in my late 30s, early 40s, I got asked out quite a lot by married men.
Yeah.
And they don't tell you they're married right from the get-go.
Correct.
And so, you end up going out with somebody 4 or 5 times, and then all of a sudden somebody says, I'm pretty sure that he's been in here with his wife and kids. And they're, it's happening in their own communities.
Yes.
And I'm thinking, this is somebody I've met face to face. I've met their teenage son who's been in, the pub with them, and, how do you maneuver through all that?
You do your checks.
Your checks, okay.
Before you decide to meet in person.
Okay.
So once I have your name, and so here's another thing. Here's another great tip for people who are dating. So let's say I meet Kelly on a dating site, and I only know your first name, and I know you live in Orangeville.
Right.
So I can actually go into Facebook, and in the search bar, I can type in women named Kelly who live in Orangeville.
Wow.
There's all 50 of them. And then I'm telling you, this is
scary.
homework that you have to do.
Right.
Because
Okay.
I don't know if you're married or not, and I don't need your husband standing at my door with a shotgun.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So I'm going to do the research, even as a guy. I'm a 45-year-old man, and I'm doing this research to protect myself.
Right.
Right? So I'm going to just run that quick search. So it's women named Kelly who live in Orangeville.
Right.
And up come all the options. And I'm just going to have a quick scroll through. And in all likelihood, your profile picture is going to be the same as you're using on a dating site. So it's not going to be hard for me to figure out, okay, so
Same
now there's the
person.
profile, there's the legit, all the stuff that they've told me on the dating profile lines up. Now I'm going to make a decision whether or not I'm going to actually give my phone number out to that person.
Right.
And I expect them to do that same research back to me.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a really great topic, because to be honest, if I was single in this day and age and I was online dating, I would feel like I was being a bit creepy doing that. But the truth is, it's not
It goes very
creepy.
fast. It goes
Not
very
Yeah.
real
anymore.
fast.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
100%.
In 2009, yes.
Right.
Yeah.
In
Right,
2016,
because we were
no.
just saying how much dating's evolved and
Mm-hmm.
how much open marriages have evolved and how much the constitution of marriage has changed.
Right.
And you just see that all the things you have to research and all the things you have to do now, everyone hitting on you when you were doing it were married, and because all that dynamic has changed. Like
Right.
people don't date like
No, well, and it's,
1924 anymore.
no, but
Yeah.
you still have those scams happening, whether
Of
it's
course
online
you do,
dating or
yeah,
dating, right?
everywhere.
You still
Look,
have
it's
the
everywhere.
catfish
Right.
thing
Yeah.
happening
It's no
because they
different.
can present
Right.
themselves
I can be in a
totally
bar.
different.
I can be in a bar.
Absolutely.
And
I can
pretend
just
to be
I can
somebody
just-
or something
I
else.
can take off
Yeah.
my wedding ring
Yeah.
and walk over and introduce
Yeah.
myself,
Yeah.
et
Yeah.
cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
right?
Well, I think we've proven that dating in the year 2016 is much different than
It
when
is.
the lovely Michael Robertson was. And we could do another show. We probably will. We'll do an update show. But for today, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
That was really actually eye-opening for me. So thanks. And everybody, if you are online dating, please do your research and really stay safe.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week.